So very quickly, what are we doing? I have to mention that we have a substantial business in payments as a telco already, and in terms of premium SMS and pay for it, for example. So we feel we have a little bit of heritage in this space. It's not completely new from the payment side, or indeed the mobile marketing side. We've launched, as the first step on this journey, a contactless credit card. We've recently launched a prepaid card, which is also contactless, and then, as it says, very soon the NFC e-wallet. And the wallet is absolutely that. It's a container application within which, yes, there'll be a payment application on day one, but I think if you think back to the screenshot of what the guys have done in France, where there's loyalty, there's transport, there's vouchering applications, there's a full suite of applications in there. I don't think I need to talk too much about the Orange credit card. It's very good. You should have one. And if you do have one, it may help for getting your mobile phone set up in the future. Likewise, the prepaid card. We think it's quite interesting because it's the first contactless launch of a prepaid card. It's linked into mobile, but I guess it's also about getting consumers aware of using contactless technology just with a card before they can start thinking about doing it with a phone. This one is the analogy that I probably overuse is a bit like one of those mini roundabouts when you all arrive at the same time and then no one's quite sure who's going to go first, and you sit looking at one another for a while until eventually somebody lurches off and hopefully you don't have an accident. That feels again a bit like where we've been for several years in the NFC space. So at one point Nokia were taking a leadership role. Advanced people in the financial services space like Barclaycard have taken a bit of a leadership role. Some operators also have tried to take a leadership role. But essentially we've all been standing there looking at one another waiting for the other to jump, saying, well, I'm not going to make the enabler until you give me the devices, and they're saying, well, until you do the services, we're not doing the devices, and back to, well, until you give us all the enablers, we're not going to do the devices or the services. So we thought we'd try and resolve that one by saying, okay, we'll start by ordering the devices and putting in place the capability. And then from there, once we've got devices in customers' hands, then that gives you the opportunity to talk to customers to make services and deploy them. Okay, so we're about to launch mobile payments, extensively mentioned. It's the start of a nationwide rollout. What else am I allowed to say? You can use it in lots of places. I believe it's 50,000 retailers or 50,000 stores at the moment and growing rapidly. Primarily places where you can get a sandwich and a coffee quickly, but not simply those places. And MasterCard PayPass technology inside. This slide I think is important because it talks about, so what on earth do we do? Where do we bring some value? Why do we have anything to do with this as an operator? So first thing is we need to put a special SIM in the device which enables secure applications. And because the secure applications reside on the SIM, that leads to having that primary customer relationship. Core services, so the network enablers that are there to enable people to deliver contactless services. The devices, 60% of the devices sold in the UK, I understand, this stat may be a little bit out of date, but bought by operators and then effectively leased back through pay monthly contracts to consumers rather than by consumers directly. So buying the devices is something we do at scale. Distribution, devices and SIMs, first line support. This one's really been borne out by if you lose your phone, and back to your question, what happens if I lose my phone? What do? You probably want one place to call rather than to have to go, wait a minute, there's my Barclaycard in there was my gym membership, there was the use case we have today. If you lose your wallet, you've got to remember all the stuff that was in there, phone them up and cancel it. Customer feedback from all of the test cases, from what we've seen in Japan and South Korea, they call their operator. They'd kind of like us to then tell all the other service providers in the wallet to suspend their cards. They think they've lost their phone. So that's something else that we're enabling. But the rest, and the primary customer relationship through the specific application, whether that's loyalty, transport, vouchering, access, etc., that belongs to the service provider. Those guys, yourselves, your companies you're working with would need to deliver that, test it, etc. And also to be there for a warm handover in terms of customer support. This is really talking to secure applications, and I think for some marketing implementations, you might opt to do something as heavy as that. Yeah.
Quick question. In terms of people who want to build apps on this, are you going to be providing the SDK, or will it be Google or Apple providing the SDK?
I think there's probably going to be a range of people providing SDKs, and at the start there may be a degree of fragmentation. In terms of what we see ourselves providing, it is an environment which is, SDK may not be the right word. I'm not sure it's quite as perhaps mature as that, but an environment where people can deliver secure applications within an Orange wallet. Yes. For some of the simple tag read type applications, if that all they do is access information or share information non-securely between devices, that may well happen within the existing Android marketplace or RIM application store. So I think we're about secure applications and an environment where unsecure applications could live too. But I think when it comes to unsecure applications, it's probably the answer is both initially. I guess the way to look at it is at the outset, when it's when there's a relatively small number of devices and they're ones that we're bringing to market. If you develop on our platform, that will reach everyone. But at some point in the future, as other operators and other people launch these services, there will be other platforms to develop to. So where do we go next? More partners. So back to that slide on Japan. It's all about a range of services. What makes this compelling for customers is not just I can pay with my phone, but first I can pay, then I can travel, then I can get fantastic offers near where I am now in a retailer that I really love, engage with a brand I really love, go to the concert to see the Arctic Monkeys, even though they're no longer cool. That's what makes it really exciting for consumers. So our focus is absolutely about enabling more partners. Yes, to grow our first-party branded solutions, but I guess that's just part of the story. And more financial partners, loyalty, transport, and some services that we haven't even thought of yet, frankly. This is about putting an enabler out there and being surprised and delighted by some of the services that will grow up in that space. So back to that rather complicated slide at the start. We used a slightly grandiose name, Third Dimension. But this is really about devices moving from voice to data to lifestyle. So suddenly your mobile enables a whole range of services for consumers. And it's not payments. A lot is spoken about NFC as if it was just payments. Payments is an enabler. It gives a retailer a reason to put contactless infrastructure in at their tills. And that's great. And if you're queuing for your sandwich at lunchtime in a rush, that makes time faster, and that's nice. And maybe some people sell some more sandwiches. That's all good. But I think the real benefit is around the fact that you're then having a transaction with a real customer rather than a faceless person handing over some cash. Then you can start having a marketing conversation with them, talk about loyalty, say, "Oh, Daniel, nice to see you again. Actually, we haven't seen you in here on a Friday. Have a voucher. We'll give you a free muffin with your coffee if you come back to us on Friday in this store because we know you work around here." I think that's where it starts to get exciting. And that's where the insight piece comes in. And again, to that point about who we're working with, is there exclusivity? Without partners, this is an enabler that has no value to consumers, so it absolutely needs a range of services in there to make this fly, and that's going to create conditions for something that consumers can experience, love, and ultimately that will grow the market. I guess the final thing is, so why are we doing all of this? I would say that we do see this as a commercial opportunity. Right, so the reason we're doing this is because we think that some of the enablers we have, we will be able to commercialise in the same way as a telco now. We charge people for bulk SMS to contact our customer base. Those kind of commercial models we think will come into play for marketing via contactless as well. I'm not saying it's the same pricing. I think that sort of detail is still to be worked through. But yes, we're doing this because we think it's a commercial opportunity. But we only think that's a commercial opportunity if it creates value for your customers, for the brands you guys work with. Otherwise, there's not going to be incremental value in it for us, unless there's value in it for you and for the customers. Okay. Thank you very much.